So, what is the best Zelda game? Out of all the Zelda games, which one stands at the top? Is it Ocarina of Time? A Link to the Past? Majora's Mask? Wind Waker? Twilight Princess? Minish Cap? The possibilities are endless. But today, me and Scourge Blade Zelda are going to be discussing which one is the best Zelda game of all time. Hello, and welcome. It's me, Marls44.
And I'm Scourge Blade Zelda.
And welcome to Zelda Talk. It's been a while. Sorry.
How long?
A few years. Yeah.
Yay! You are the pinnacle of consistency, Miles.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But
That wasn't a compliment.
so, the problem with it was I stopped doing YouTube for a while, and then I started catching up with YouTube stuff. So now I'm finally back to Zelda Talk. I needed to find a new setup. I have my new setup. I really like it. It looks very good, in my opinion. So, today we are going to be talking about, as you saw from the intro, what game we think is the best Zelda game. And we're going to talk about not just what we think are the best Zelda games, is the best Zelda game, but
like the runner-up.
There's another one we're going to talk about as well. We're going to talk about 3 games. What I think is the best, what Scourge thinks is the best, and another one that we both consider to be in the top 3 as well. All 3 of these games that we're about to discuss are all, or both of us think are the top 3 Zelda games, like the best ones overall. So the game that I think is the best is Majora's Mask.
And the game that I think is the best is Twilight Princess.
Shit, on spot, on time there. Yeah, and then there's one other game we're going to be discussing as well, like I said, and that will be Wind Waker. Both of us think that Wind Waker could also be the best, but this is what we think are the best.
You could think of it as our runner-up.
In a way, yeah. They all have amazing things. All 3 of them have amazing things that we feel make them capable of being the best Zelda game in the franchise. And the 3D games help you immerse more into the world, and that's huge, which is why, as much as some 2D games are amazing, like A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, they honestly just don't cut it when you come to all-around best game. So, this first video, we'll be talking about Twilight Princess. Part 2 of this, we'll be talking about Majora's Mask, and part 3, we'll be talking about Wind Waker. So look forward to that, and we're going to have some bloopers as a separate video as well after all this is done. So, we're going to start with the special guest. Let's talk about Twilight Princess. My favorite Zelda game, funny enough, and I don't think it's the best. I think it's I think it's top 3, easy, maybe even top 2, but don't think it's the best. But yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, and my favorite Zelda game is Wind Waker, but I know for sure that it is not the best.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people would think otherwise as well, and be like, it's the best. And I can kind of see why as well. It would be.
I mean, that would make me happy, but that doesn't mean I would agree with them completely anyway.
Exactly. All right, so Twilight Princess talking. Let's go. Let's do it. So TP. What are the reasons that you, the first reason is for the good things, I guess. So what are the good things out of it that you would say?
Well, first off, I think Twilight Princess is like a compilation of every single mechanic that has worked previously in the Zelda series. Like,
Yeah.
it has something like the Dark World. It has time travel, kinda. It has different forms.
The hidden skills, which kind of are a little reminiscent to Wind Waker.
No, no, it's not. Not of Wind Waker. It's more in line with Minish Cap and the Tiger Spirits.
Oh yeah, right. I was thinking Wind Waker because of the quick action.
Because I do believe Minish Cap came before Wind Waker.
I believe so.
Oh, no.
I think so.
Put in a caption on screen telling me I'm right or wrong.
I'll be right here.
In editing.
You're wrong, or right. It'll say right here.
I am the rightest person.
If it's right, it'll be like fuck it. I'll make it like tiny, like right up here. If it's right, and then if it's wrong, I'll just make it just enormous right here. Like you're wrong.
You messed up. You maroon. Maroon.
It's funny. I was gonna sport my Wind Waker shirt. I'm set. Got washed incorrectly, and now it's like very tiny.
I think it has some of it. I think it has some of the best areas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It definitely has the best dungeon layout, like overall.
Okay, that's an opinion. I'm not disagreeing, but the best dungeon layout, I don't know about that one. It has a really solid one of the best. I don't know about the best.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really count Majora's Mask too much because there's
4 dungeons.
Because there's only 4 dungeons. Where Twilight Princess has what, 7?
9? If you want to count Hyrule Castle, I mean. If you don't, it's 8.
I would.
It is a dungeon. It is a dungeon.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Are we counting the moon then as well, though? If we're doing that, I'd argue we count the moon because it is kind of.
Well, we can, but the problem is it's optional.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah, fuck it. Never mind. 4 dungeons. Yeah, that's one of the things. There's only 4 dungeons in Majora's Mask, even though it's.
I would count the Castle of Ikana though, even though it's kind of like a mini dungeon, but.
It is a mini dungeon, but at the same time, it does feel a little more like a.
Well, then again.
Proper dungeon in a sense.
Well, then again, we would in theory need to count the Ice Cavern in Ocarina of Time or something like that.
Yeah, I think all the mini dungeons still count, and even the optional stuff. I think all the optional stuff also kind of counts. Like, you don't have to do it. Like, you don't have to do the moon. You don't have to do the Cave of Ordeals, but they're there. The Cave of Ordeals just crossed my mind, and I went, oh yeah.
I will say, yeah, I think Twilight Princess has some of the most compact dungeons. Majora's Mask and Skyward Sword are close seconds. Both of those games have really, really good dungeon layouts.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
I end up enjoying Twilight Princesses a lot more. Like, I think the Forest Temple is one of the best first dungeons in the series.
Yes.
Goron Mines, despite how
it's amazing.
Despite how a little tedious it is with the iron boots walking all over the ceilings, it's extremely creative.
It's only like a couple parts too. It's not too bad.
The Lakebed Temple, if you ignore the hub room fuckery at the start.
Hub room, why do you do this to me?
Is pretty well designed.
Yeah, it's
the
pretty good.
The Arbiter's grounds.
Best dungeon.
That dungeon goes without saying.
It's the best dungeon in the fucking game.
Saying.
What's
Not
the
even
next
in the game? One of the best dungeons in the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got the Temple of Time as well, which is pretty solid as well.
No, actually, the Snowpeak Ruins is before the Temple.
Sorry,
of Time,
what? The what? I don't know what you're talking about. Snowpeak. What the hell's a Snowpeak?
Yeah, that's the Snowpeak is the only low point for me.
Yeah.
I fucking hate the Snowpeak Ruins, but
I've gotten a little more hate towards it ever since Ganon mode.
I think most of my hate towards it though comes from my hate of just ice areas.
Yeah.
And ice enemies. I just hate them like most Zelda fans hate water.
It's not a terrible dungeon, but it's definitely like I definitely argue that like if we're not talking about Lakebed's hub room, I'd argue like the Snowpeak's probably the worst because at least Palace of Twilight has Zant at the end, whereas Snowpeak just is. It's kind of hard.
And then Temple of Time, where it's not hard. It's just really enjoyable to go through because there are so many cool rooms to go through. You fight a lot of enemies.
Yeah, I remember when I used to hate the Temple of Time too. This man changed my mind.
Why you did?
This man changed my mind.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Why
You made me see it differently. You made me see quite a few things differently because I was.
I'm curious now.
I made those mistakes.
Why did you think it was bad, and what did I actually do to change your mind?
I just felt it was very boring. It was just a very plain dungeon, and you just kind of like go to the end, get the dungeon item, come back to the beginning with the statue, and then you just kind of fight the boss, and that's kind of it. Like it seemed for the first 2-3 times I played it, I was just like, eh. And I kind of considered it. Yeah, I kind of considered like maybe it was the worst dungeon in the game, but
in the beginning, yeah, I could see how it would come across that way, but it's not the puzzles themselves. It's that you're going through a trap-based Temple of Time.
Yeah.
Like this is the same Temple of Time from Ocarina of Time.
And that's
then
that's something I did.
That's cool on its own. But
exactly.
Then after going
that's me.
Like the puzzles and rooms are a little bland if you like analyze them overly, but it's because I think all of it combined, it's just like a feel-good ride.
Yeah,
you're like going deeper and deeper, solving these puzzles. Like you're not running around, backtracking and going to different rooms like you are in most dungeons. It's just a straight linear path to the end where you get the Dominion Rod, fight the first Dark Nut, which is one of the best iterations of the Dark Nuts.
Yes,
and
definitely, absolutely.
And then you go back through the rooms with the statue in tow, so you can open up the door that leads you to the boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot better once you kind of like introduced me to like that kind of stuff, and like you helped me kind of see it differently. And I definitely will agree that like it's a much better dungeon than I used to think. I mean, I've enjoyed it the last couple times. Last like 2-3 times I went through it, because the first 2-3 times I just kind of saw like meh, it's just kind of there. And now I'm like,
Marley was very
that's good.
judgmental. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got the City in the Sky, where, for me, it was the opposite of Marley with the Temple of Time. I used to really hate the City in the Sky because there were way too many pits.
Platform.
Better. And the fucking, some of the fucking rooms were either annoying as all hell or just plain fucking confusing to navigate through.
Mm-hmm.
One room in particular, I still hate that room.
Which one?
It's hard to explain. It's the one where you're claw-shotting to different
things that are falling?
Walls.
Oh, that one? Yeah, that one's a little tricky sometimes. I swear every time I do it, I'm like, shit, which way do I go again? Which way do I go again? Damn it, which way do I go again? I feel you.
When I stream my
oh yeah, that's next.
run through of that dungeon, I'll let you know. I'll let you know which room it is, and
All right.
you'll see. Maybe you can actually like put the footage on screen so the audience knows which dungeon room I'm talking about.
It's like, which dungeon? Well, you know which dungeon. The City in the Sky, right? I thought it was the Fortress of Winds.
Shut up. I can words.
I thought it was the Fortress of Winds. No, you maroon.
But I love the dungeon theme. I think it's one of the most soothing dungeon themes in the series. I like the lore behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty fun once you actually know what to do and where to go and what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot more fun when you actually know the dungeon.
Then it's a dungeon that has a lot of cheap beginner traps, and that's why I didn't like it for a long time. And even still now, I do think there are some rooms that are a little much.
Yeah.
But
I don't disagree. Fuck the last room before the boss.
That room's fine. It's annoying, but it's fine.
But it's fine. I don't like it. It's annoying. It's extremely annoying. I don't precise hook shot. I don't speed on this game yet. I don't know how to precise hook shot.
And the Palace of Twilight is much more interesting than the other dungeons because it switches up what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're bringing up. First, you're bringing some light souls to power up your sword, and running away from the Zant Wallmasters.
I apologize for the yawning.
Hands.
It's late. Took me too long.
Hand. I don't know what you.
Oh, the Zant heads? Or wait, you mean the hands? Maybe those are Zant's. Maybe those are the hands that are part of the heads. I don't know why there's only two of them.
I'm just gonna call it a Twilight Wallmaster.
You know what? That's probably what it is. That's probably what it actually is. Look it up right now. I'll put it right here. Look it up right now, me. Right here.
Future Marley, put it on stream.
Future Marley, right here.
Fuck.
Twilight Wallmaster, easy.
Whatever.
Piece of cake. Anyways.
Whatever name it actually is, I'm still gonna call it Twilight Wallmaster, because fuck you.
That's pretty appropriate, though. Both parts of that sentence.
Yeah, like... Because usually the Wallmasters are after you, and they take you up and then they drop you into either a room beforehand or right to the very entrance.
Yeah.
But here, they don't want you. They want the souls that you're trying to steal.
Mm-hmm. And then...
And the entire dungeon on its own just has this really creepy yet somber atmosphere to it.
Yeah. I used to shit myself a little when playing through the first part of the dungeon.
And then
Zant. Yeah, Zant speaks for himself. Zant just speaks for himself. It's a fucking amazing fight.
And Hyrule Castle, while short, does end up using a lot of the items obtained throughout your journey. It's not all of them, and it's not the grand finale that it should be, but it's still pretty decent.
And it feels pretty good climbing up that castle. Not gonna lie. It feels very good climbing up it. And like the fucking like boom boom gets louder every time the higher you go. Similar to Ocarina of Time, where you could hear the organ more and more. Piano. Ganondorf doesn't play piano. He ain't on stage like no. Maroon.
And then the final boss.
Yeah, the final boss is pretty good. You get a one-on-one fight with Ganondorf. I will say, I think the Wind Waker one is better, though.
The fight?
Yeah, the sword fight with him. I think the Wind Waker
one is
better.
sure.
Like,
for sure.
The Twilight Princess one is good, but it has some issues, and you can kind of just...
It's way too easy.
Yeah, it's too easy. It's like they gave all the fuel to Horseback, Ganondorf, and they're just like, oh yeah, what about the one versus
when the Horseback Ganon phase is harder than the sword fight Ganon phase?
Right?
That's pretty sad.
Beast Ganon's pretty fun. Puppet Zelda's just a normal puppet volleyball thing. Like, that's just normal. That's just normal shtick. There's nothing to say about that. But yeah, but Ganon himself is pretty fun too, I find.
But yeah, it also has a bunch of really cool lore and references to past games and even future ones that come out afterwards. Like, there's the Skull Kid.
Oh yeah, right, Skull Kid, duh. You fight him. How did I not remember him right away?
Twice.
Yeah.
And then there's Impaz, which is a descendant of Impa.
Mm-hmm.
Then Skyloft.
Yup, which doesn't come until Skyward Sword, which came out after.
Mm-hmm.
It has a neat connection with
like the entire world of Skyward Sword was based off of one throwaway dungeon in Twilight Princess. I think that's really cool. That just shows how amazingly compact that Twilight Princess's world is.
Yeah, that's true. And then you have like the story, which is really, really good as well.
Mm-hmm. And
Midna
is by far the best companion Link has ever had.
Yup. And honestly, probably one of the best characters in the entire series as well. Just
for sure.
Just completely out of the entire series. But it has its fair share of problems too, of course.
And there are
no games without that. Like the Twilight Realms. with the bug shit.
The Twilight Realms with the bugs can be pretty annoying.
Yeah.
Especially the Lanayru. God, fuck that one.
I hate the Lanayru one so much.
And then there's
I love Lanayru, but
and then there's the very beginning of the game. It starts off very slowly, and you will often get bored if you have absolutely no idea on what to do.
Yeah. And it's not even just that. You have to do these little weird things around town to be able to progress. It's a little awkward.
It's like... even if you're, like, really seasoned at the game, it'll still take you about, like, 20 minutes just to get to the first Wolf Link section.
Yeah.
Like...
oh, yeah, because, right, you have the sword and shield thing you gotta do, too. So we're talking about playing this normal, not speedrunning.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, speedrunners, you gotta get the sword and shield.
We watched the Twilight Princess cast a couple days ago. So
yeah.
So we have Twilight Princess speedruns on the brain.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the sword and shield as well, which is really annoying to get, to be honest. There's just some little things that are like aggravating.
And then there's some aggravating things. Like, it doesn't... like, Wolf Link doesn't feel very fleshed out at all. Like,
yeah,
there are some... especially when you're fighting things. Like, fighting things in Human Link is much more compact.
Yeah. Whereas, like, Wolf Link, you're kind of just flailing about a bit.
And Wolf Link doesn't learn any skills,
which is odd
throughout the game. Nor can you perform a finishing blow as Wolf Link. Like,
which would be sick.
Wouldn't it have been sick if you just jump on your downed enemies and rip them to shreds like a normal wolf would?
Mm-hmm.
But no. You just have to stand there and wait for the enemies to get back up. It's really dumb. And then for Human Link, when you have all the skills, while it does make... well, a lot of these are really cool, it kind of makes combat obsolete.
You just fuck everything up.
Yeah, because everything that you learn will end up helping you in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you master them, you'll just blow through every enemy like they weren't even there.
Yeah, so it kind of does destroy that combat a little.
The hidden skills are optional, but honestly, I think they should have been mandatory, and because of that, the enemies would scale up with you.
Yeah, because now they can't scale up.
And like Swordback Ganon.
What?
Sword.
What the Swordback Ganon?
He's riding a sword. He is now a witch.
He's a well, he's not technically a witch. He's a sword fighter witch.
No. You know
a
how
fighting witch.
You know how witches ride on their brooms.
Yeah,
well,
he's riding on a sword.
Rides on his sword.
But
everybody
has to ride Ganondorf except for his sword.
The sword fight Ganon phase should honestly have had more phases to account for this, like and make you use each of the hidden skills to open up his defenses more and more, and then
yeah, that would have been much better. Oh my god, I would have loved that.
Exactly. Instead of you just waiting for the right time
think...
and either overpowering him, which is something you should not be able to do, by the way, or just roll around him and fucking hack away.
Yeah. I think something
you could
else...
legitimately do that.
I think something else that needs to be said is that they could have also made it so, like, the hidden skills are optional, but the difference would be when you pick one up, it makes the enemies scale in a certain way. So if you get all 7, it makes them scale fully. They could have gone that kind of route too.
And honestly,
but I think mandatory would have been better. With the scaling.
Honestly, the biggest problem that the game has for me is the story isn't really well paced, and there are some pretty glaring plot holes.
It's it's not the best well placed because of like the super long dungeons, and especially at the beginning with all the Twilight areas too, kind of like interrupting you and making you wait. And you have then once you complete Arbiters, now you just basically all you have to do is complete the next like 3 areas for the mirror shards, and then you can progress with the story. Like it just kind of halts at points. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like Ilya's amnesia was not handled well at all. It was just like
that too.
It was just like thrown at you at some point, then you forget about it for a while, and then near the end, the game's like, oh wait, we need to resolve this. Here, take this. This'll make her remember everything. And I'm like, really?
I did some I tried to mimic throwing something, and I'm like, oh, she remembers. You'll see it. You'll see the video.
Like throwing the TMs at Pokemon to make them learn moves.
You just TM.
You just throw the horse call at Ilya, and this will make her forget. This will make her remember everything.
Just grab the horse call and smack her in the face with it. Remember! Ow, I think that gave me amnesia again. Shit! Try again!
And then there's no explanation for the hero's shade. Like, I know there are a bajillion theories.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much confirmed that it's the hero of time, but it's not fleshed out at all. They don't do anything with it.
Yeah, he just...
You'd think that the wandering spirit of the fucking hero of time would have a more prominent role, but
right?
But he just teaches you one mandatory skill, and then it's
optional.
6 more optional ones.
And he doesn't interact or try to help you in circumstances or anything.
He isn't mentioned anywhere else either.
Yeah.
It's the entire realm just completely forgot about him. Whereas in Wind Waker, it is the exact opposite. People remember the hero of time really well. His legend is told throughout the generations, and people mistake you for the hero of time on various occasions.
Yeah. There is one thing I have to say for that,
famous in Wind Waker.
There is one thing I have to say for that, though. That is after the adult timeline in Wind Waker.
Yes, I know timeline split. But
yeah. So the hero of time didn't technically exist in the child one.
But in the child timeline, you'd at least think that he would be remembered for, like, you know, predicting the future.
Yeah, or something like, oh, the hero, like this. I'm surprised the sages never said anything. That's what I'm shocked about.
And not to mention, what about all of his time after Majora's Mask? We never know what his adventures were like after that.
Yeah, we could have found out some stuff in Twilight Princess. Because I think the hero Shade is fine that people don't remember him, but I think the hero Shade needed to still be more prominent and more important, and actually like kind of guide this Link a lot more, not a lot more, but a bit more, and you learn a bit about him. Even if it wasn't a lot, I think we needed to learn some things about what happened after.
It doesn't need to be a lot.
Yeah,
that's kind of the Legend of Zelda's charm. They're very vague about things, and that's how it should be. But you shouldn't just like drop a bombshell like that and just like leave it hung to dry. No, you shouldn't do that.
Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
Impaz was banished.
How did I know you were gonna say that?
To a hidden village. Like, one, what's the hidden village, and what was its purpose? Why was it abandoned? And why is Impaz here? What happened between the royal family and the Sheikah?
Like, my only thought is, like, what if the hidden village used to be, like, where the Seal Temple was, and that's where they, like, started building some houses, but then that's why she was put there. But, like, why did she get banished still? Like, what happened still? It's not really said what happened.
Especially since there's no Sheikah at Zelda's side in Twilight Princess, like there is in almost every other Zelda game.
Yeah, she's in the hidden village,
where she's a character.
It's kind of like, well, why was she put there? Right? Do we not get an explanation for that? Like, and just a bit, something.
But that's fine. I'm sure it's fine. But the one that pisses me off the most is the one at the very end, where after you get Midna to Hyrule Castle and Zelda revives her, she just like disappears into specks of light. But then the next time you see her, she's captured at Hyrule Castle. Like she's at Hyrule Castle like she had been kidnapped, and I'm like, when was this? When did Ganondorf come back? When did he take Zelda? How did he take Zelda? How is Zelda still alive?
Right?
Wasn't she inside of Midna, or was it just like her souls and like she was transported somewhere? Give me something.
Yeah, it's a little confusing there. On top of the fact that Ganondorf came out of nowhere.
Well, he was,
that's something too.
He was built up, so at least there's an explanation for why he's in the game, but
he's still kind of popped out of nowhere a bit.
But when did he take over Hyrule Castle? Was he doing it before? Was he doing it while we were wasting our time with Zant in the Palace of Twilight? If so, then why doesn't the game just tell us that?
My thought was, like, maybe it's after you saved Midna and Zelda disappeared. Maybe that was when he reappeared, and that's why Zelda disappeared as well. Because maybe that's when he was able to come back. Because Zelda was the one kind of keeping him down. I don't know, that was always my thought, because that barrier appeared after, and then Midna breaks in. Like, of course, Ganondorf should be able to break into it, but, like, the barrier would have been broken then. Barrier appears, and it's not broken until after, like, until right at the end of the game where you go into Hyrule Castle. So that's always been my thought, but it's very unclear.
Yeah, and I don't.
That's yeah.
That is my biggest problem with the plot of Twilight Princess. But anyway, all in all, I think, despite some of the issues, they aren't glaring like a Ocarina of Time's jank and Water Temple and Skyward Sword's overall structure and
Wind Waker's missing pieces.
Forced motion controls and Wind Waker's cut content and in-game paywall through the Triforce.
Oh yeah.
Like, it doesn't have any game-breaking flaws like that. It's relatively well-rounded from beginning to end, with some low points, but not crushing low points. And the high points are some of the highest that the series has ever reached. Like, I love a lot of the dungeons. I love the atmosphere. I love the combat. I love the music. I think the music is one of the best. I think Twilight Princess has some of the best music in the entire franchise. Like, I love Twilight Princess's soundtrack.
There's one more thing I will say. Hyrule Field is empty field, by the way. It's not as empty as Ocarina.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fucking big. It's the biggest it's ever been. And there's not a lot. And
some of the roadblocks are annoying.
Yeah.
But
that's a little thing I thought I'd touch on too there.
Yeah, but
I do
some of
like
the
Hyrule Field still.
And then there's Midna. But
what Midna? What about Midna? Midna's amazing.
I know that was a point in its favor.
Oh, well.
That and it's just an amalgamation of everything that the Zelda series stands for.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Zelda fan's Zelda game to its core.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think for that reason, even though it does have its issues, its hiccups, I do still think it is the best objective Zelda game.
Okay.
And it's definitely more. I definitely find it a lot more accessible than Majora's Mask.
Hey. You're not wrong, but hey. We never talked about Carivore deals. But we can come back to that.
I've never beaten Cave of Ordeals. So
I've never even touched it, actually. But I've seen it. It looks like a lot of fun. So that's definitely a high point, I'd say, for Twilight Princess as well. But and I like that you can get something like that in a Zelda game as well. You can get this extra secret dungeon just there, and it's not like mandatory, and it's huge, and it's very challenging. Like, sign me the fuck up. What is this, the Pit of 100 Trials? Yes, let's go. Like, jeez. Well, thank you all for joining us in this video. These are the reasons that Scourge thinks Twilight Princess is the best game in the franchise. And, yeah, I definitely see why after that. And even then, of course, it is my favorite game of the franchise. And I consider it top 3 as well, like we were talking about earlier in the video.
Talent for changing your mind on things.
You do. But I do still think Majora's Mask is the best, but we will get to that next video. But yes, overall, we're just gonna talk about this really quick. Midna, amazing. World, amazing. Dungeons, really extremely well done. We don't talk about Snowpeak. Bosses, amazing. and there are plot holes. There's the Twilight problem, the Twilight Realm problems, and the problems with the hero's shade, and just stuff like that. But overall, it's an extremely solid game that has lots of pieces.
And the fact that it starts very slowly.
Yeah, slowly. Thank you. That's the part I missed. But it has a lot of pieces from past Zelda games, as you were saying as well. And yeah, very good game. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let me know what you think.
Peace!